How did Spanish and Portuguese colonization impact Latin American culture? If you're curious about how Spanish and Portuguese colonization shaped the culture of Latin America, let's take a journey through history to find out. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas in 1492, it marked the beginning of a significant period of change for the indigenous peoples and the eventual formation of Latin American culture. The Spanish and Portuguese divided the New World between them through the Treaty of Tordesillas, with Spain claiming most of the Americas and Portugal gaining the eastern part of South America, which is now Brazil. The Spanish colonization process was marked by the exploitation of indigenous populations. The Spanish saw these populations as a source of labor to extract mineral wealth and produce other valuable commodities. They implemented the encomienda system, where indigenous settlements were awarded to individual Spaniards, essentially forcing the indigenous people into a form of slavery. This exploitation had devastating consequences. The indigenous population plummeted by an estimated 80% in the first century and a half following Columbus's voyages, primarily due to the spread of infectious diseases like smallpox and the harsh conditions of forced labor and slavery. European diseases decimated the native populations, leading to severe food shortages and disruption of their agricultural cycles. Despite these challenges, the Spanish also brought their own culture, including their language, religion, and customs. They established settlements in cities such as Mexico City, Lima, and Santiago de Guatemala, which became centers of Spanish culture and influence. These cities were built with the help of indigenous labor and often incorporated local architectural styles, leading to a unique blend of cultures. The Portuguese, on the other hand, focused on the eastern part of South America, particularly Brazil. They introduced their language, Portuguese, and their Catholic faith. The Portuguese also brought enslaved Africans to Brazil, which contributed to the diverse cultural mix of the region. The intermingling of Portuguese, African, and indigenous cultures resulted in the rich cultural heritage seen in Brazil today. The colonization period also saw the introduction of European animals and plants, which transformed the ecological landscape. Horses, for example, were brought by the Spanish and became a crucial factor in warfare, giving the Spanish an advantage over indigenous warriors on foot. However, horses also escaped and were captured by indigenous groups, who then used them to resist Spanish conquest. Missionaries played a significant role in shaping the cultural landscape. Figures like Bartolomé de las Casas advocated for the rights of indigenous peoples and introduced Catholicism, which became a dominant religion in many Latin American countries. However, the conversion process was often forced, and it led to the suppression of indigenous religious practices. In summary, Spanish and Portuguese colonization had a profound impact on Latin American culture. It led to the blending of European, African, and indigenous cultures, resulting in the diverse and vibrant cultures we see today. However, this process was also marked by significant exploitation and suffering of the indigenous populations, which had lasting effects on the demographics and social structures of the region.